Welcome to the Answers Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello and welcome to the Answers Yes podcast. Thank you once again for tuning in. I really do appreciate all the comments on my social media and the show. People are enjoying the direction that we're taking right now, and we're pushing out a lot of shows right now. I've got a book coming out in December, and we're ramping up for that, so we're excited. I haven't announced the title yet, so stay tuned for that. But as you know, we're always trying to bring value to the listeners in ways that other people have said yes and things that they're doing. And I think today's going to be exactly one of those shows. So I've got Stephanie Walter on the line. Good morning. And how are you, Stephanie?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Your publicist did a great job getting your information over to me. Makes my life a lot easier. I've been so blessed with this show, and we've had many, many great guests. And I think it's because of these agencies that are out there working hard for you and some of the other people that have a story to tell.
For sure. I couldn't do it without them.
Yeah. So I know that you're in the wealth management sector, and I want to hear a lot about that. But I want to hear some of your background, where life started for you. Did you go to college? Did you just jump into something? Were you an entrepreneur as a kid? And kind of briefly go through some of your history, and we can talk about where you're at now later.
Sure. Yeah. I, like a lot of people, went to college right after I graduated from high school. Was really, didn't have a clear idea of what I wanted to do, but ended up graduating and with my degree in biology and chemistry, and then went into work as an insurance adjuster. As weird as that sounds, did that for 8 years, and then had some, unsatisfying experiences working in the corporate world. And then I think I got the big one, which was, you're doing a fantastic job. My manager told me you're doing the work of a couple people. We're, super grateful, and we'll give you a 2% raise this year. And
wow.
You should be, happy, because most of the people aren't getting anything. And I went home to my dad, who actually is my mentor. He was my mentor for sure, because he was an entrepreneur most of his life, and just kind of said, Dad, I don't know what I'm going to do. I worked out what 2% is going to mean for the rest of my life. And I can't see this happening. And he was just like, well, what you're going to get if you keep working there. And that you have the option of kind of creating your own destiny and working for yourself. So just decided I would become an insurance agent at that time, and quit my job. And along that same period of time, I was investing in real estate. I enjoyed didn't have a lot of knowledge, just sort of, I'm in the Denver area, had some ideas where I thought growth might occur in Colorado, and just started investing in single family homes there. And then in 2016, I got an invitation to go to a boot camp, and about investing in syndications, which I'd never heard of, and I went, and I was just completely blown away. Just completely loved that concept. I'd never heard of it, of investing, a group of people investing, getting something bigger than anyone could do on their own. So I was all in at that time, and closed on my first syndication in 2018, realized after that I did not ever want to do it by myself again, and partnered with a great partner. And he loves to find the deals. I love to raise the money for the deals. And so we're now on our 8th deal together. And I've learned so much from working with the wealthy investors that I've worked with, and I've changed a lot of the way that I look at money and what I was doing with my money. And as a result, I was able to retire and sell my agency this year in July. And now I kind of do this, for fun, kind of.
Yeah. Hey, you don't have to be kind of. You could be all in on having fun, right?
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I've got some questions for you because I know I've got a big audience. I'm a member of the Arte Syndicate with Andy Frisella and Ed Milet, major investors. I'm also a member of the Lion's Den. I've been friends with Sean Whalen from the off-road community for many, many years. And what I get and see in both of these groups, now I'm there for other reasons, but what I see in these other groups is that there's a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of questions circling on their forums about raising money. They want to start a business. I know that that's something that you do. Can you talk a little bit about capital raise and what's important? And I realize that this is something that you can help people through as a business as well. So just touch on it a little bit, and maybe we can expose some of my friends that are in these groups to how to raise capital and what they should be looking for.
Well, I mean, for us, we kind of started on the smaller side of deals, and we did that purposefully so that we really wanted to fill our deals with investors and not go to, big family office money and stuff like that, because both of us really value the individual investor and kind of wanted to, do things the right way for them so that they would come back and invest again and again and grow and grow and grow was the idea. But it was a whole different world. It was very different than insurance, but it does a lot. It comes down to marketing. And so, I mean, I would go out and I knew I had some clients that were in certain industries where I was fairly certain that, they had money, but also I targeted people who had given me a lot of referrals in my business over the years. And so went to them and just kind of told them what I was doing. What I tell people is that it doesn't happen overnight. And you have to really kind of put it out there with what you're doing, not be ashamed that you're raising money. I think some people think, oh, I'm a money raiser, and be a little bit apologetic about it.
Yeah.
You're, providing a major service for people to be able to make, great profits. And so the mental state, I think you've got to really, really be all in on your mental state that you're helping people. But I simply, it's just like being consistent every day. I constantly, reaching out to people I know, or even I have some marketing systems put into place, like on LinkedIn, where I'll introduce myself and say what I do and do they have any interest in learning more? And a lot of people do. And they get into kind of your group of, prospective investors. And then I think the thing that surprised me the most was the content, that you have to put a great deal of content out to people, because you get them in and you kind of nurture them over a period of time. And by nurturing them, you're giving them different content about what you're doing, what you have done, and then just explaining what a syndication is and these different alternate investments. And I believe, kind of those two things are super important.
It's interesting you say when you're raising capital to be confident about it and just talk about it, because on the flip side of that, I work with a high net worth individual in the cannabis sector, and he's always looking for places to put his money. So just the opposite of what you said people do a lot of times. They're nervous about, like, we're out actively looking for people to put money into their businesses and find the right fit and do the interviews and look at all their materials, So I agree with you. Be confident when you're trying to raise capital. I was fortunate enough to raise $12 million in 2007 for a tequila company I started. And if you know, that's when we had that depression, that financial crisis back then.
That's awesome.
But it was about having confidence in what I was doing and the business and the plan and where we were going. And I think it's important that you convey all those things when you're teaching people how to raise capital. What things are you telling them that they should be doing? Is it similar to what I just said?
Absolutely, because I think what a lot of people don't realize is that real estate syndications are a business. They're business at the end of the day. So when you can express that this is a business and we have a business plan, we have we can show our past performance of what we've done over time. When you can, because that's what you're really doing is you're selling access into a business that cash flows very well.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you definitely have to have that knowledge. And I think the obstacle probably most people in my industry have is just people have never heard of it before. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of getting over the hurdle of understanding this type of investing has been around for a long time. And it's not a fly-by-night type of thing.
Which goes along with something I read on your site or your bio. You teach professionals to unlearn what most of us have been wired to think about. And I just love that because we all get stuck in our mindset of this is the way it's got to be. And that's not necessarily true. When I used to hire a lot of employees, people would say, well, what's the best employee? I'm like, somebody that has no experience because I don't want to have to unlearn them all their bad habits. Talk about that a little bit in your industry, things that people need to unlearn or what direction you're trying to drive them.
Well, I think that I try to drive them more into that their money needs to be working for them at any time. And I was as guilty as everybody else on that. I did not invest heavily in a 401k, but I did invest in these single family rentals. And my goal was to hold on to them for 20 or 30 years. And then I'd have this great cash flow. Well, in the meantime, the cash flow really wasn't that great. And to what I learned from my wealthy investors is their money is working for them, sometimes at several different places at the same time. And they are 100% focused on cash flow, not so much net worth, but really cash flow. And that is a mindset change. And when you can change that and realize that you're in control of your money, everybody puts their money into a lot of people put their money in the 401ks. They're investing in secondary markets, which means that they're not investing directly into a company. If you asked a person who has their money in a 401k, most aren't going to be even able to tell you, a company it's invested in, who's running that company, what's their plan. So to know that you can actually take your money in and do that research and put it into a company with a past history of performance, of great performance, and you get to vet all the people in that company and what they're doing, and you get to see monthly reports. It's really not as complicated as one would think, and so I just try to have people kind of change their mindset. It sounds easy, but it's not terribly easy.
Yeah, well,
we're engraved to believe in that 401k, and there's a lot of flaws in that system.
Yeah. And I think, if we can gain any knowledge in this generation that we're in right now, is that the old status quo is no longer the status quo. I've had tons of entrepreneurs on this show that did not go to college and they're multimillionaires. You're talking about different forms of investing and making money. I 100% agree. If your money's not creating some cash flow, passive income somewhere, you got to revisit what you're doing with it. And get creative with it. And I've been investing money since I was 18 years old. My grandfather taught me early, and this was in the 80s. And he said, even $50 a month in a mutual fund, if you're disciplined, by the time you're 40 or 50, you're going to have a big ball of change. But to learn that discipline so young and put in $50 a month without thinking about it, and developing those habits. I taught my mom that at 50. And by the time she retired, she has enough money to live off of, and she was just so grateful that she picked that up. So there's no time that you can't start.
Yeah.
The thing is start, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about Herb Wealth, and is that how you said Herb Wealth?
It's Erbe Wealth,
Herbe Wealth, yeah.
German word for legacy.
Yeah. Talk a little
Yeah.
bit